Hello, my friends, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live. Good to have you guys joining. We're just going to get started in a few minutes. Just want to say hello, give people some time to join in. If you are joining us live, do drop in something in the chat. And I see Clayton there. I see Alok. Good to have you on. Today it's about Zero to Power BI Pro in 5 steps. Excited about it. I've been meaning to do something like this for a while. Let's see. I want to make sure I have a close eye on your comments. Michelle says hi. Or Michelle. Hi. Diane is here. Alok said hello earlier. That's great. Awesome, folks. I say we kick it off. All right. I've been focused on this for a while. I've been training people in Power BI for years now, left Microsoft almost 10 years ago. Yeah, 2014. Had discovered Power BI while still inside Microsoft. And I stepped out, and my goal was to change people's lives. That's, in fact, what I said in my LinkedIn profile. I was like, oh, Power BI changed my life, and I'm here to change yours. But what I realized is that it's not just about Power BI. It's not just technical skills. It's important, but there's so much more. So since then, you've probably heard me say this and seen it in different places. I use the line, don't just learn Power BI, become a pro. And that is my goal today, to set that path for you. Now, what I'll say is that if you are just starting out, stay focused on your immediate next step. Keep the other stuff in background, but don't let that intimidate you. Don't let that overwhelm you. One of the biggest mistake that people can make going on this journey is what I call, imagine you're trying to go on a road trip and you wait for all the lights to turn green. It doesn't work that way. So don't feel like you have to have everything figured out from step 1 to step 5 before you get started. It doesn't work like that. Wherever you are, if you're at 0, focus on step 1. If you're at step 1, focus on step 2. You get the idea. All right. So whichever step you are, focus on the immediate next step, but you can consider the information and others. Say, cool. I'll keep that in mind. I'll come back to it. Let me know if that sounds good. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize I didn't switch to my Power BI Pro shirt. Yeah, so Jeff, this one says business intelligence, but yeah, you guys can't read it. It's I like it. It's pretty cool. Okay, so what I want to start with is actually step 5, because I was thinking about it and I'm like, man, this is like the softest. I think steps 1 to 4 are pretty specific, but this one I'm not sure about, because really I put there what's been important to me in my life, what's become important to me as I've gone through life, as I've gotten older, gotten to realize that what's important in my life, to be able to focus on my kids, be around my family, do things that I love, take care of myself, my body, my mind, not have that stress, be able to have relaxed mornings, be able to meditate, go to the gym, travel with my family. I think I said that twice. I guess I love it that much. And of course, if you've been following me, you know, a big part of my life is being able to spend time, usually 2 months in India every year, and knowing that I have the flexibility to spend more if I need to. So that's me. But I want to ask you guys to put something in the chat. What is your goal? Where are you moving towards? And a lot of these things, like, yes, I get it, get a job, get a promotion, get a client, start a business, all of that. But I hope you see that that's a means to an end, a bigger end, something more worthwhile, something that you care for. So yeah, so put something in the chat. What is that goal for you? But while I'm waiting for you guys to type in, do type in. I was thinking about this word, this freedom, and I said, talked about a lot of things that I do, but where does that come from? And I really think that that comes from control. And what does that look like in a professional setting? And again, this is just my take on things. So when I left my job, I had this one goal. I had always hated the job hunting process, even when I was in the 9 to 5. I never wanted to go through that again. And I hated having to update my resume and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, I hope never again. So let me see. You get the idea. All right. That's my artwork there. My goal was to burn the resume because I think, again, going back to this idea of control, what I wanted was I wanted jobs, clients, new opportunities. I wanted them to come to me instead of the other way around. That's the way I see control. And that gives me the freedom to do the things that I like. All right. Oh boy. All right. Let's see. Diane says, I want to expand the power of business intelligence within my organization, help others in my same role work more efficiently, stop repetitive reporting. That's great. But folks, I'll say uh, professional, personal, have a more holistic goal. I want to help others, and you can be selfish in that goal. Define the things that are important for you. You had me list out a long list right there, be able to go to the gym and this and that. Keep Stay focused on that, because sometimes if we don't think about what is truly important for us, we stay so busy in the just staying busy, right? Just we forget that it's a means to an end. All right, so we'll come back to number 5, but let's come back here. Uh, and hold on, guys. Let me see. Yep, it's working. Okay. Okay, so let's start at number 1. So we're going to grab this one. Okay, got it. Yeah, Annapurna is talking about choice. Jeff is talking about independence. But yeah, the more you guys can flesh it out. So it's my Paul Coelho quote. The clearer your vision is of what you seek, the closer you are to it. Power core concepts. That's the step 1. And it's always shocking to me that how many people are missing this. And then they're trying to, oh, what's going on here? Then they're trying to talk to me about step 5 or step 4. And I'm like, God, you gotta start at step 1. It's like you're trying to build the 5th floor. You don't have the foundation yet. It doesn't work that way. What is the challenge here? And it's funny because again, sometimes we're so close to our lives that we don't see ourselves. And I'm the same way. I'm so good at giving you guys advice. Trust me, I have stuff on my own, and well, I'm lucky to have people around me who I can bounce things off, right? So we are so close to our lives, we don't see it. All most of what I'm going to do in this session is to be the mirror. Most of these things, they're not like, whoa, I never knew that. No, we all know it, but sometimes we need somebody to say it to us. And I hope this time and this messenger is that time for you where it's kind of like, that makes sense. I know it. So Power BI core concepts. What's the problem here? So I was thinking about when I was back in school. I grew up in India. And we didn't have libraries, at least decent functioning ones. They were really weird, really weird. Nobody went to them, and yeah, I mean, you just it wasn't there. So I was, and I'm sure US it was different, but still, getting information, getting knowledge was really hard, right? So knowledge, oops, let's go here. Knowledge was scarce. Ooh, you had to do a lot of effort to get inside. And college is, I think that institution either is going to die if it doesn't change, because it's so archaic, at least the old style colleges. And of course, hey, in their defense, a lot of them are changing with the times. But you had to kind of get in. You had to be the insider to have access to all that knowledge. Guess how the world has changed now? Now, knowledge is freely available. There's Google, there's YouTube, and now, of course, there's ChatGPT, the most dangerous way to learn Power BI. I may or may not talk more about that. But so yeah, there's too much information. So that is the problem number one. The problem isn't that the knowledge is scarce. The problem, especially for somebody who's starting out, is that they are overwhelmed. If that is you, type something in the chat, let me know. But I hear from this from people all the time. I say, I'm just overwhelmed. I don't know what to focus on. I don't know what to cover. I don't know where to start. So that is a challenge. And of course, sometimes, well, people just kind of stick through it. And the way they're trying to sift through this is what I talked about this, and I call it the jigsaw puzzle. What you don't know is that there are some pieces missing. So it's the most frustrating kind of jigsaw puzzle where people are trying to go through Google, YouTube, ChatGPT, and just try to put it all together. And I can almost feel the frustration when people reach out to me who've been doing this path. Again, if it works for you, hey, great. I mean, but maybe you're here because some part of this isn't quite working right. And that's what I see for a lot of people is that, yep, it's doesn't quite work great, right? And there's a third reason. Now, I thought about this, and it may not apply to everybody, but it may apply to many, that Power BI is unlike other tools you may have worked with, certainly Excel, maybe even SQL. Yeah, I wouldn't speak to that, but I'll certainly say Excel. Excel doesn't have really kind of fundamental core concepts, a body of core concepts that you need to master. Excel can be learned in 1001 tips and tricks, right? So it can be learned in bits and pieces. That's how most people learn Excel. That's how I learned Excel. You kind of learn VLOOKUP and you're like, oh, that's cool. Then you learn match index and it's like, oh, that's cooler. And then maybe, I don't know, something else and array formulas and blah, blah, right? So you just go step by step and you discover this, discover that. So you can learn it in bits and pieces. Power BI does not work this way. And that's why a lot of people are struggling. But that's where we have good news. The good news is that, yes, it has those core concepts. But if you do focus on that, if you are able to focus on that, guess what? The Pareto principle kicks in, the classic 80-20 rule, because this, you would spend just 20% of the effort. I see people who have been struggling with Power BI for years, sometimes longer than they're embarrassed to admit. They've been using Power BI for 5 years, right? I mean, that long, and they still don't feel comfortable. I still look at their models, look at their DAX, and I'm like, what are you doing, my friend? What are you doing? All right. So the good news is Core concepts is going to minimize your effort. It's going to be more focused, 20% effort, 80% results. So that is number one. It's got to start there. You can't build the fifth floor of the building right away. So, hey, it's not a sales pitch for my course in any way. I don't care. Guys, go out there and identify what your goal is, identify what you need to get there, and then see what's the best place to get that. Simple as that, right? So I'll say go out there and find a structured course. I mean, really, hopefully all paid courses are structured and step by step, obviously. And again, I can't imagine like why do course not be structured and step by step? But more importantly, it focuses on core concepts. This I'm not really sure how you're going to test for it. Just I don't know if somebody else has ideas, let me know. But of course, I mean, yeah, if you our course, I'll just give you a quick glimpse that yeah, this is how it's kind of structured. You can see here it's structured. So zero to dashboard gives you an overview of the whole thing. That's how I like to start. Maybe I'll talk more about that. I like the agile approach. And then, you got to master the query engine, relationships, DAX, visualization, Power BI.com platform. Somewhere in the query engine, there's also data modeling, which is the perhaps the most important concept. Sorry, I switched pens, so I can't write in it. So yeah, so that's the core concepts. You got to master that. All right, let me see if any interesting comments came in. Yep, Jeff said it's like trying to drink from a fire hose, and yep, that's not an uncommon thing. I've heard that for sure. Yeah, Jeff is saying, yeah, you can absorb some concepts in bits and pieces, but it's just so much easier, right? I mean, why play that jigsaw puzzle? I mean, if you love jigsaw puzzles to pass time, I do like jigsaw puzzles. Haven't done it in a while with a family, but sometimes we put one together but yeah, I don't know. When your career is at stake, I think the stakes are too high. Right? My life is at stake. My professional career, those results define so many things that the control and freedom. If I have control and freedom in my professional life, it automatically extends to my personal life. Yeah, I mean it's so yeah, I think the stakes are too high. All right, but yeah, good thought there. Okay, cool. So folks, hopefully that made sense. If not, let me know. Let's go talk about number 2. Yep. All right. Perfect. Build a dashboard. It sounds so easy. It's like, yeah, Power BI. I'm learning Power BI. I should be able to build a dashboard. But for one, the funniest thing I've come across is people who got the Power BI certificate and then they applied to join or learn Power BI program. And I'm like, why? And the answer that I got was, well, I got the certificate. I cleared it. So I, kind of learned the thing. But now I really want to learn Power BI. I want to know how to do it. So there are a few problems here. This is what I see. And again, folks, this is just kind of from my perspective. Um, Hopefully some of this will help. So the number one thing that I see is that people are stuck in learning mode. And I talked about that at the beginning where I used the analogy that you're going on a road trip, but you're waiting for all the traffic lights to turn green before you start. It's not going to work that way. And learning, of course, you've probably heard me talk about the learning paradox, which is the more you learn, the less you know. And we all have experienced that. You start learning Power BI. Let's say you mastered Power BI. And seriously, some days I feel like I know 5% of Power BI, if that. Right? There's so much there. But that's the thing, you don't have to know it all. Core concepts, you can make it work. But sometimes looking at that perspective, imagine you master Power BI. Guess what? You're gonna probably see something else. You're gonna see, oh, there's Power Automate, there's this, that, and then there's, oh, there's Azure and machine language and this. There's never an end to that. So you gotta get out of this. You gotta get out of this learning mode. And what I always say is Power BI is agile BI. So when I'm working with a client, we take the agile approach. We define something for a month, like a rough goal. I never do requirements documents, by the way. So yeah, okay, we have some idea, and then we define weekly iterations. And every week we meet and go progress. Right? So the way it should work is these quick cycles, right? That's how you implement Power BI. Guess what? That is exactly the same way to learn Power BI as well. You got to learn it in an agile approach. It just works better. You learn a little bit, apply, learn, apply, right? So that's the cycle you want. That keeps you out of the learning paradox, stuck in learning mode. That's going to hold you back. Sometimes I say it half jokingly, but it's true. I say the two biggest reasons of failure: people never get started or they quit too soon. so, yeah. So this is effectively people never get started. They're like, oh but I'm not, I don't know. Let me just learn more DAX. Let me join this course and that course and plan. Let me get this book and guys, that's all bullshit. All right. Yeah. Learn a little bit, apply, help others. Again, we talked about for your personal life, keeping that end goal in mind. Here, keep the end goal in mind. Power BI is a means to an end. It's for you to help solve business problems, support the business, help the growth, stuff like that, right? Okay, so that's number one. The second one that I see is I call the IKEA problem. And man, I didn't quite realize it for a long time. The odd thing is, I was helping people with the IKEA problem, but I didn't realize what the problem was. I was just doing it because it felt natural. So the IKEA problem is this. So imagine you got a piece of furniture from IKEA, right? And of course, it didn't come this way. It came in boxes. It came in flat pack boxes. And you have all the pieces, but you're missing the manual. The manual is not there of how to put it together. That's going to suck, right? But that's how I see most people are operating in the Power BI world. They have the tech pieces, right? So they have the tech pieces, but they're missing the manual on how to put it together. They don't have an understanding of, start from the very beginning, how do you select the right Power BI project? They don't know that. Not majority of the failures that I see where people contact me, hey, we're stuck, Avi, it's not working, and they've just gotten started in Power BI. That's the audience that I usually work with. So I'm talking about like corporate clients, right? So these are companies. And I go in and I'm like, why would you start there? So most people don't know how to choose the right project, how to scope the right project, how to have that discussion with the client. And again, sometimes I use the word client, and it doesn't matter if you're an employee, consultant, you're going to have a client, right? So I hope you treat your internal clients the same way, with the same level of professionalism as a consultant would do. By the way, that's a great career tip. That's going to take you far. So so how do you work with them? How do you operate in that agile weekly format that I mentioned? How do you set their expectations? How do you manage scope creep? A lot of things like that. That is the manual. That is like how to execute the project. So because Power BI, again, is not about the tech pieces. Think about the IKEA problem. You can have all the tech pieces strewn around your floor, but it's bloody useless. You can't sleep on that couch. You can't rest on it because you don't have the manual. So guys, you need the manual. You need a little bit more than the tech thing. You need the project pieces, how to run that project. Okay. All right. So let's talk about number three. And again, I had been helping people with this, but only recently I'm like, that's the challenge. So for this, I'll just go back to some of my recent posts. Let me see if I can bring it up. So if you've been following me on LinkedIn, you probably saw this. Uh, and this is such an interesting story. So New York City Marathon, in the last one, 2023, there were 50,000 plus people who participated, right? 50,000 plus people. And they had a completion rate of 98.9%. Now, I don't run. I go to the gym and all that. I don't think I've ever ran in my life. So but it's a 26.2 miles course, 50,000 people, 98.9% completion rate. That is pretty cool. That is pretty impressive. So, of course, the thought that crossed my mind was, what if we made each person run that course all alone by themselves? We took those 50,000 people. It's going to take a long time. But imagine if we did that, what's going to happen to the completion percentage? We all know the answer to that. But then why do we still operate this, right? So this is, I sent in an email. It's like, yep. So I see a lot of people, they're doing this and not this. And I'm like, that's such an easy fix. So yeah, guys, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And there can be a lot of things kind of holding you back. Which again, I mean, if you look at the fitness industry, they do a lot of things together. There are these challenges and so forth. So yeah, so don't go all alone. And folks, this is what I've seen. Again, I've been doing this a while. Started working with Power BI when it was still called Project Gemini. Yeah, that was a long time ago. And been teaching, left Microsoft in 2014. So yeah, it's been 10 years now. So it's just what I've seen. So again, look for these elements. You don't want to be all alone. You don't want to be holding all the tech pieces in your hand and like just trying to hack it. And you don't want to be stuck in the learning paradox. By the way, number three can help with number one, right? So if you participate in a group, then that can unlock a lot of things. So of course, we are kicking off a 30-day dashboard challenge with a group inside a Learn Power BI program. We're excited about that. A lot of cool folks have signed up. Again, you need to be a member of Learn Power BI to participate because again, right? I mean, for first of all, number two depends on number one, which is the Power BI core concept. So, right, it's a step-by-step journey. So you can't just jump in. So yeah, so Learn Power BI members, that's what we're doing. And of course, as part of that, the dashboard challenge, this is the one that lays out this is the manual. This is on how to execute the project, right? How to scope it, how to run week by week. And folks, one thing that I didn't put here, which I'm not sure what's the best place to mention. It applies maybe to number one and number two, both of them. So let's put it there. Yeah, let me put something there. So, which is getting stuck. No matter how awesome the course is, the Power BI course, right? So imagine you join some course and it's like, oh, awesome. It's the best course in the world. And no matter how good of a manual somebody gives you, it's like, yeah, this is how you run a Power BI project. Guess what's going to happen when you actually start doing this for real? You're going to get stuck. you're going to get stuck. So that is a huge challenge, but I want to flip your mindset here, right? So for one, getting stuck is actually a good thing. In fact, I would say this is a great thing. If you're not getting stuck, you're not moving forward. That is a problem. You're probably stuck in that learning mode. It's like, "Ah." So if you're getting stuck, that's great news. You're moving forward. Getting stuck isn't the problem. Guess what the problem is? The problem is staying stuck. That absolutely sucks. That is a problem because if you're staying stuck, you're not moving forward, you're not making any progress. So, again, you can have the best Power BI course here, the best project manual to run that project, but this is still going to happen. Right? So, this, well, not a great color. Yeah, this is still going to happen. And that's where a coach can help. Community a little bit too, but I think uh, coach. And hey, I've been part of online programs, mostly business programs for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, freedompreneurs, and yeah, I mean it's hard to operate without a coach. It's a good coach should act like your GPS guidance system, the Google Maps, right? So yeah, so if you're stuck, there needs to be somebody there who can pull you out. Sometimes the community can do it, that's great, but the coach needs to be there. So again, folks, look for these elements. Don't yeah, don't have to sign up for my program. Obviously, it works for some people, doesn't work for others. So you got to figure out what's the right fit for you. All right, so we cover number 2. Let me see if there's any interesting comments here. Uh, all right, Laura is sharing some interesting experience. Yeah, boy, that's an interesting comment. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but we do see where people are kind of figuring it out and they do good work. Right? They even like the clients, internal or external, are pretty impressed, but at some point you are unsure. You're not sure that, hey, am I doing it the right way, and so forth. And yeah, folks, it's hard to kind of operate that way. So I'll say sometimes you can have kind of that external success, but it might feel hollow, and that is just a risk. So yeah, make sure you go back and kind of firm up each of these steps. You don't want to build a house of cards. Okay, all right, so let's go back here and let's grab number 3. Now getting to some good stuff. It's all good stuff, I hope. Whew. All right, LinkedIn tells your story. What's a good place to start for this? Ooh, let's do this. We've all heard this. Tree falls in a forest. Does it make a sound? Woo! Right? I have another question for you. If you do some good Power BI work, right? But nobody knows. No one knows about it. Now, again, I'm exaggerating it. Obviously, hopefully somebody would know about it. Like the client would, the immediate client. But yeah, but if not many people know about it, does it matter? Yeah, same way as the tree thing, right? The tree falls in a forest. Does it make a sound? Does it matter? If you do some good work, great work, but yeah, not many people know about it, does it really matter? Let me put it slightly differently. And I would like you to type in a yes or a no. And it might seem silly, but do that, because again, the typing in the yes or no will be like a tactile reminder for you to remind yourself of that, because a lot of people are missing this step. They're doing a lot of good work, but it's not reflecting in their career. It's not reflecting in their life. It's not reflecting in the outcome that you want and you deserve. And Power BI is a really impactful technology. So I want you to type in a yes or a no, whether you agree or not, that the more people know about your work, uh, uh, your work, the better it's going to be for your career. And we talked about control and freedom earlier. So yeah, so let's say right now maybe one person knows. And hey, I've operated like that. So by the way, most of these things I teach, or all of them perhaps, are mistakes that I made. Landmines that I stepped on, and I'm just trying to warn others like, guys, don't do this. Trust me. Been there, done that, right? So a lot of times I put myself in a situation where the only person who knew about my work was my boss. So there was this one person in the world who kind of knew about my work. And then you never know, corporate, their mood would change, and uh, you're not their favorite anymore. They have a new favorite or whatever. They could get, yeah, I mean, they move, they quit, they change jobs. All of this stuff, they can be a reorg, a whole bunch of things can happen. So yeah, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. So I've been there. It sucks. It's just no fun. That is one person. But yeah, what if one people knew? What if 10 people knew? All right. Yeah. What if 100 people knew? What if 1,000 people knew? And you can go on, right? So the more people know, what's the impact it's going to have on your life, right? All right. So yeah, appreciate Laura, Sudhakar, and Jeff commenting yes. That's great, folks. A lot of this is up here, kind of in your mind. So sometimes these small things make a difference. So a lot of people can nod their heads to this, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And of course, I want to figure that out because I want to help people. So I gotta get in their minds and see. They talk about the knowing doing gap. So yeah, a lot of times we know what we need to do. So I mean, again, I was saying that, hey, this is not going to be like earth shattering. We know we need to do a lot of these things, but we still don't do it. And part of our role at Learn Power BI has been to build out mental hacks. One of them is that one, saying, oh, you just put them in a group, have them run it together, put them in a 30-day dashboard challenge, right? So yeah, so here I want to. We've been focusing on the same thing. So I want to ask some of you, what has stopped you? Yeah, I don't think this is the first time you've heard this advice or thought about it. And LinkedIn is my favorite platform, so I put it there. But essentially sharing your story so that more people know about it. What has held you back? What has been your hesitation or your objection? Please write down and let me know. All right. I'll cue some up, but again, I want to look at your answers and make sure that if you have something specific which applies to you, I talk about that as well. But I'll talk about some of the ones that I've heard. And these two are related. I wonder if I should just put it together. Yeah, let's put it together. Introvert, I don't want to boast. Yeah, man. I mean, it's just breaks my heart because it's if it's keeping you, is it worth it? First of all, if it's keeping you from that step five, that goal which you have for your life, is it worth it? But let's talk about it, right? So let's talk about. We'll come back to boasting. Let's talk about introvert. Sometimes people talk to me like, "Oh, I'm an introvert," and I'm like, "Welcome to the club. I am too." And they're like, "What? I mean, no way, man. You're all over the internet and da da da, all that sort of stuff." Well, there are a few things here. Let's talk. Let's use public speaking as an example. The challenge is not that you're an introvert and an extrovert. The challenge is that you are who you are, but if you use that, so the challenge is really this. Let's do it. The challenge is that you're saying in your mind A equals B. And I'm here to just question that. I'm like, hey, is that true? So what you're saying in your mind is that, oh, I'm an introvert, therefore I can't do the things that Avi's telling me or whatever, blah, 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 all this stuff, right? And we'll use public speaking as an example, as a placeholder, whatever you're saying, oh, I cannot do, right? And I have two exhibits for you. Tony Robbins, oh my God. If there was ever an extroverted person, he gets on the stage and is like fire and brimstone. Amazing. Amazing public speaker. But guess who is also an excellent public speaker, maybe even much better? Or was, I should say. Steve Jobs. Man, you look at the guy on the stage, he commands the stage. But look at his style. It's soft, it's understated. And if you know anything about his personal life, he's a very private, introverted person. So a lot of these things, like public speaking, that's just one example, they're like learned skills. But there's a big mistake that people make. So these are learned skills. You can learn them, but the trick is to do it while being you in your style. That is what made Steve Jobs successful, a successful public speaker. Again, we're focusing just on that because sometimes what we do is we look at what they have, right? So, oh, let me try to be that. It just doesn't work, right? So just be yourself, find your own way. So a lot of them are learned skills, and it's a different. I use it in a different context. Some of you have heard my Tex Sandian story, but I say if you can't win the game, you got to change the game. And you realize that, yes, you have a lot more freedom than you realize. So you can change the game. And I do that as well. You can change the game. For example, you can focus more on one conversations. Um, I'm an introvert as well. That works great for me. And of course, you might have seen a lot of times we just sent out an email to everybody saying, hey, here's a time block of time, book a one-on call with me. And I really enjoy those calls, and folks who've been on, they get a lot out of it. Yeah, I just work great because again, I mean that's a more natural setting for me. So you can do that. So a lot of ways you can get around this. Don't let that be an excuse. And again, begin with the end in mind. Keep that step 5 in your mind. And that's what we talked about at the beginning. Uh, we're also thinking of doing like a goal setting workshop because again, people I think are not quite doing it right. And we had one person chime in, but again, I mean, professional goal. You know what? We'll cover that later. So yeah, so the clearer your picture, if vision is of what you seek, the closer you are to it. So let's go all the way back. So yeah, keep that step 5 in mind. What is the end goal for you? And then see, hey, can I find a way? So don't let that introversion stop you, because for one, it's not a roadblock, right? So in your mind, you're thinking A equals B, like introvert means that you can't do this, can't do that. None of that is true. Learn, skill, do it your own way, change the game. Okay, we got some good ones. So Tammy is saying fear of failure, procrastination. That's a good one. Fear of judgment. That's similar. Yep. Fear of failure. Ridicule for something that doesn't look good. Yeah, not perfect. Okay, cool. Hey, there's some good stuff here. So, folks, we'll make sure we'll talk about that. Um, oops. Let's come back here. And you know what? We'll save boasting for later, because I would rather focus on what you guys are telling me. Okay, this is good. This is good, folks. Really appreciate it. So let's say, so I'm trying to see fear of failure. Maybe I'll write it down. Fear of failure, procrastination. Ooh, I love. There's so much emotion here, folks. I mean, these are such emotional words. Judgment. Yeah, fear of failure and ridicule. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. Not perfect. Oh, this is the good stuff. This is so awesome. Procrastination and judgment. Man, I feel like I can spend an hour. How much are we doing on time? Okay, okay, okay. We got this. We got this. So let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to see if we can cover it in one fell swoop, or we got to pick one by one. Failure, judgment, procrastination. I really love this word. There is so much emotion here. Yeah, they're gonna make fun of me. Whew. I'm gonna look bad. They're gonna say I'm an idiot. Oh, the number of times I've come across as an idiot, felt like an idiot. Yeah, so uh, I don't want to make it my own sob story, but guys, again, I'm not speaking from. I'm not at the top of the pyramid. I'm like, oh, guys, are top of the mountain. I'm like, hey, guys, look at me. I've done it. By the way, it's usually those people who are there and speak like that. You get the shittiest advice from them, the worst. The best is somebody who is going through or has recently gone through this stuff. And yeah, so you know what? Maybe this is gonna help. So some of you have followed me for a while, know that one of my big struggle has been imposter syndrome. And of course, people hear that, and the first thing they do is they brush it aside. But guys, please don't do that. That's just, yeah, it's not kind, right? Yeah, it's like somebody is saying they have a problem. Um, yeah, for example, if you've been following me, I focus a lot on fitness. But what I've never shared is that sometimes I have issues with binge eating or emotional eating, right? So imagine if I said that to you, is like, yeah, I struggle with eating, right? And you go, oh, Avi, come on, man, look at you. I've seen your posts. You're doing push-ups and all that stuff. You look great. Yeah, you got the abs showing, and yeah, just because something looks good from the outside, you have just one perspective. You don't know what's going on with me. You don't know the struggle. And as I said at the beginning, a lot of these things that I'm teaching are things that I struggle with. So, imposter syndrome, that's been a huge struggle in my life. And yeah, it can affect anybody. So, when it kicks in, when I'm in the grips of imposter syndrome, a classic voice is that, for one, it says, Avi, you bloody liar. Doesn't use bloody, uses the F word, right? But I'm trying to keep it PG. It's like, you effing freaking liar, right? You go about like Power BI freaking Pro. Who are you trying to fool, right? You know 5% of Power BI. You don't even know how to use calculate table. Every time you have to use that, you have to look it up, right? You're a shame. You're a disgrace. So that's how imposter syndrome talking. So what I'm trying to say, guys, is again that maybe the traffic light analogy, but there's another one that I would share. Is courage is not the absence of fear. I just shared my fear with you. It's real. I deal with it. I don't know. Maybe every other day. Maybe every day. It depends on the severity. Sometimes it's severe. Sometimes it's destroyed my whole year. I look back and like, what the F was I doing? Why wasn't I out there doing what I love, helping people, making an impact? And yes, um, creating a better life for myself. You help more people, you probably create a better life for yourself. So courage is not the absence of fear, it's taking action in spite of the fear. So some of the stuff is not going to go away. That's a bad news. It sucks. Well, but again, you choose. Are you gonna? And that's why, guys, the goal setting is so important. And now I'm really convinced that, man, we should really run a goal setting workshop where we work together. I'll share my ideas. We'll do something cool together. Because again, the clearer your vision is, the closer you become to it, closer you are to it. Because then you're not going to have some of this. It's going to make it easier for you to overcome some of this stuff. Because again, if you're waiting for the fear to go away, right, waiting for you to be perfect, for you to look good, it's not going to have, for you to not be judged, for you to not fail. Oh my God, right? It's not going to happen. On failure, I'll share one thing, and I just got a glimpse of it. This was Roger Federer speaking, and I'm like, man, I'm so thankful for these people. And this was a convocation speech. You should look it up. But he said that he's won 80% of his games. And hey, we all know Roger Federer. He's pretty incredible. So that didn't surprise me. And I'm like, yeah, fine. In fact, I expect it to be higher. But then he shared something interesting. If you look at points, can somebody guess this? Oh God, we probably have a small delay, so I don't know if it's gonna work. That would have been so fun. What is the percentage of points that they have won? Yeah, actually, I'm gonna wait for it. This could be fun. Okay, so we'll come back to the Roger Federer example because I want to hear your answer. Guess what is the percentage of points that Roger Federer has won? Just put a guess in. Maybe you do know the answer. And let's come back. Procrastination. Maybe we'll talk about that. Procrastination, boasting, and I'll say one more thing about judgment. Okay. Oh man, I think there's a delay. So it's or maybe you guys are shy. No, nobody wants to be wrong. Okay, so I'll give you the answer. Well, actually, I don't remember the exact answer, but it is around. I think it's like 54%. Now think about it. That's not that high. If you round it down, it's basically 50%. That means if you do two things, right? Imagine you're doing these things every other one is going to be a failure. And man, if Roger Federer can deal with that, so can we. And again, because the point is, there are no failures, there are only lessons. So, whatever the worst thing that can happen to you, let it happen to you. It's like that monster under the bed. You're so afraid of it. Like, let it happen. Just turn on the lights, reach in there. You're going to see that it's nothing. The monster isn't there. That's the fear of failure. Okay, cool. So hopefully that helped. Judgment. I'll say it really quick. Guess what, guys? You're gonna be judged no matter what. You're gonna be judged no matter what. Do the best thing. Be the best person you can be. Uh, Start noticing that in settings. You're always being judged, right? And sometimes it's easier to see in personal relationships, right? So, I'm always obviously I love my wife, I love my family, but yeah, sometimes they're like, oh, what about this? Why do you do that? What do you, right? So you're being judged. What I say is, isn't it better to be judged for what you believe in? Go for it. Okay. So I'll give you a trick, actually, to sidestep this. A mental construct. Don't feel like you need to be or try to pose as one, for heaven's sake, a Power BI expert. Heck, even I don't do it. I mean, I don't feel it for one, right? So it wouldn't be authentic. I don't feel like a Power BI expert, so I don't pose that way. I don't show up. That's not the energy with which I show up. By the way, we may talk about this a lot more. We are so focused on the outside. What do I do? What do I say? How do I write that LinkedIn post? And guess what's more important? It's the inside. This is what matters, the inside, the energy you're carrying, right? So inside, don't try to, most of us would be faking it unless you really feel this energy. It's like, yeah, I'm the champ and I'm this, yeah. I don't feel that energy, so I don't operate from that energy. The energy with which I operate is that I am a Power BI enthusiast. I kind of love that. Kind of that. Um, it aligns with a lot of things that I believe in, like agile. It's like continuous improvement. Like I'm always learning, right? So yeah, Power BI enthusiast. And then when you're posting, the way I approach it is that I'm just sharing my story. And I'll say, if you can, share the highs and the lows. That makes it more authentic. That's actually gonna draw more people to you. By the way, sales, and I'm sure we can run a session just on sales, or even sales is such a big topic. But I heard a really interesting thought around sales, and I've heard this before. That's who's that? Jack Welch. I think every interview is a meeting, but yeah, every interview or every conversation you're selling. So they were saying that you're selling all the time, all the time, even in personal settings. Imagine like family conversations. Yeah, I mean, we took a trip to Iceland. Guess what? I had to do a little bit of selling to my family, right? And again, every time you're speaking up in a meeting, you're putting your point of view across. There is selling in there. So I kind of got it. I had heard this before, but they expressed it in an interesting way. They said, because either what you say is either going to attract people to you or repel them. And sometimes you need both. By the way, you don't just need to attract. Sometimes you can only attract the right people if you're repelling the ones who are not right. So that's okay. But yeah, that's always happening. So attract and repel are both part of sales. But yeah, that is more authentic if you share both your highs and lows, and that is gonna attract more people who carry the same energy as you. Not everybody would resonate with you, but that's okay. But if you're more authentic, you're going to attract more people who have the same energy. And guess what? So I talk about control and freedom. One of that is, so I talk about the who, what, where, when of freedom, right? And one of the key ones is who you work with. And this way, you're going to attract the people who have the similar energy, who you're going to love working with. Oh my God. You're going to just, yeah, it's going to be so fun. So share your stories. And this could be as simple as that, start with a low. Say, hey, I'm stuck with this problem today. And hey, who knows? I mean, maybe you comment, maybe somebody would give you some help, somebody would not, doesn't matter. You go back a day later or a week later or a month later, doesn't matter. And you say, hey, I solved it, guys. Hey, this is what I was struggling with. This is what I shared. Right. So share your story. Whew. All right. Okay, cool. So 40, 52 until, yep. So, okay. So, yeah, LinkedIn is my favorite platform. You don't have to use LinkedIn, but it just makes it easier. It's like, frankly, not using LinkedIn is like kind of like leaving money on the table. And again, if something is stopping you, kind of question that, keep your end goal in mind. All right, we have covered a lot of ground. It's at the top of the hour, and I expected this to happen. Like I'm not sure, but the 4 and the 5, we may come back and run full sessions on that. But hopefully you can see it already that if you really followed some of the things that we have covered today, if you focused on the Power BI core concepts, mastered those, you didn't stay stuck in kind of the learning paradox, you did some good work, and then you started kind of sharing your story. And by the way, you don't have to just share it once you're like, oh, I've completed this. Again, as I said, share your journey, share the highs and the lows, share as you're going through that. Hopefully you can see that how this would automatically open doors for you. Do you guys, yeah, I mean, if you feel that, yep, 1, 2, 3, what we covered today, if I follow that, it's going to lead me to number 4. Just type in a yes. I would appreciate it. That would be kind of like a feedback for me as well. So it is automatically going to help you in step 4. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to do anything else. But there is more stuff that you can do. We're going to save it for a later session. Maybe we'll do a deep dive just on step 4. And but again, I mean, these steps 1, 2, 3, these are the building blocks. Even if you forget about me, this is the only session you attend, never come back, guess what? Doing 1, 2, 3 will lead you guaranteed towards 4 and 5. You just have to keep doing it. There's some other things that I can share for 4 and 5, but frankly, most of the people that I talk to, they're not they have not completed steps 1, 2, 3, so it'll be less relevant for you anyway. So I think the best advice that I can have for you is to complete steps 1, 2, 3, and of course, probably the easiest way to do that is to participate as a Learn Power BI member in our upcoming 30-day challenge, because that's going to get you going through a lot of these, right? You know what? Maybe, yeah. So, by the way, the Power BI core concepts, those who are in the program know already. Again, I talked about the agile learning. The requirement to participate in the 30-day challenge is not to have finished the course, it's to have finished the first module. Because again, it's about the agile approach. And this one is just 2.5 hours of video. That's it. Hey, you can watch that pretty quick. Maybe take some more time to do the exercises, but you can knock that out pretty quick. And then we want you to go to the next step, which is kind of build your dashboard and then share your story. And of course, we're going to be doing a group. You can have support from me and all that. So again, that is the support system that we have to help people progress over this. As I say the tagline, don't just learn Power BI, become a pro. Maybe there's a version of that which we've realized what we have realized is the dark side of online courses. That yeah, courses don't by themselves help people. Sometimes people sign up for courses, but they don't complete it. So they need that energy, motivation, something. They need some hand holding. They're stuck. There are a lot of things there. And um, was it and sometimes they, even if they like complete the course, but then you have to do a little bit more to kind of apply the learning, share that story, get results. So that's our goal. That's our ambitious goal with the 30-day challenge. All right, folks, so we'll call it a day on this. Thank you so much for everybody who participated. Thank you for all your comments. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. The next week, we have something interesting. Maybe I can fish for that. Let me see if I can quickly bring it up. Next week, we have, we're calling the Power BI Pro Unplugged. If you have noticed the naming of our past sessions, I have gone through and tested a few iterations. I'll admit I'm trying to find my groove there, because I really want a forum. So today's session was good. It was very focused. And I had my notes and I'm like, this is what I'm going to talk about. But I also am looking to a forum where I can just show up and I can just talk and share about things. Hopefully it's going to be useful to people. So that's I do like the sound of it, but we'll see how it works and if you guys enjoy it or not, right? If I'm not adding value to you, I don't want to show up just to have fun. But yeah, so that's happening next week. All right, folks, hopefully we'll see you for that. Take care.